Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? Underground Geek here. You know, just hanging out in my little goat farm. No, that was a Zach joke actually, but so let's talk about a few things here. As you know, I like to talk about a few things. Pretty interesting weekend. A lot happened. A lot went on. If you're not on this chat app called Discord, you really need to get on there because there's a lot of people that chat and get in communities and things like that, and they can talk about things a lot easier than going to Twitter where you only have a certain amount of characters. So you can get on there and talk. You can get on there and voice chat with people, have discussions and things. And so it's actually a gamer-based app, but everybody uses it. I like it because it still gives you a little bit of anonymity, unlike Google Hangouts or something like that, where it posts your freaking email on there where people can find out who you are. But that's a whole different subject that I'll talk about in a minute. There's a couple things I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is not the title of this video, but I want to go ahead and get it out of the way. I am not a person that condones talking about another person in some kind of lewd manner. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take the best route on talking about this, but if you are talking about someone in a sexualized manner, sometimes it can be considered funny, and sometimes it can be considered like, I don't know, just distasteful, kind of not missing the point. And especially if you go on someone else's thread and you start going off on a tangent talking about a female or a male person. I won't name any names. I won't say who did this. I won't say who they were talking about. But that's just not something that I'm about. I'm here to talk about comics. I'm here to talk about the people that are writing comics and how they're rude to the customer base. That's the whole point of this Twitter that I've started, and this YouTube is I started to talk about comics and talk about the goods and the bads. Okay, it's not to sexualize anybody. It's not to talk lewdly about anybody. It's about to point out when someone's being a jerk, and it's about to point out when someone's not doing their job correctly and how sales are affected by that. That's the whole point. And just so I can specify something here, if you're calling someone a name because they just did something and you call them out on it and you call them a name, that's different than if you was to say, oh, I'd like to do this and this and this to that person in a sexual manner. That's a totally different thing. If somebody does something stupid and you call them a retard, that's just, you know, that's just you crap talking them, okay? If you go out there and you say, well, this person has some nice chesticles, then you're kind of getting in that realm of, okay, let's stay on subject here, okay? And not to put anybody down, it's just I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to be a part of that. So if you're going to do that kind of stuff, do it on your own thread, away from anybody else. You know what I mean? Get that kind of locker room talk somewhere else. Don't tie other people into it, because what you don't understand is when you talk like that on somebody else's thread where multiple people are involved, you have now involved all those people in that talk. So when that person that you're talking about wants to put up evidence against somebody later that had no involvement in it other than being on that thread, you've now gave that person ammunition. And like I said before, you got to think about this the way you think of a divorce, okay? When you have the male and the female, when you have the husband and the wife getting a divorce, if you're at all having a problem with each other, if you're having a disagreement, which that's why you're getting a divorce, but if you're having disagreement to the point where you just hate each other, you need to take the full extent of legal action every time. First step right off the bat, you get your child support set up, and you get your what you call that? I can't remember it, but anyway, you get everything set up to where you have custody. That's what I was thinking of. You get the custody set up right then and there, because if you don't, the other person will wait until you make them angry, and then they will use it against you every time. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it works. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So don't give these people ammunition. Don't go out there saying things, zooming in on people's pictures, things like that, because you're just giving these people ammunition, and they're going to get on bleeding cool, and they're going to shut you down. Because these people love this kind of stuff. This is the whole reasoning behind the milkshake disaster. Because, as I've said many times, when I said something about Heather Antos, when I screenshot her profile and said something to Diversity in Comics, said, "Hey, do you know this person? I don't know who she is. She seems like she might be an SJW, but I thought about following her. What do you think?" And he said, "Oh, she's all right." That's all he said. And then Heather proceeds to hunt my Twitter feed down, comment on it, that she letting us know that she saw it, and then blocking us immediately after that. And that was during the whole milkshake thing. And she just went on a tangent and went crazy. These are the kind of people, they're very antisocial. They don't care about finding out what's going on. They just want to get you in trouble so that they can one-up you. That's how they win their day. They go at the end of the day and goes, "Man, this was a good day. I blocked like 4,500 people." You know, and then they go on about their lives because they don't care. They didn't have to deal with this directly or physically. So don't give these people ammunition. Anyway, so on another subject, there's a friend of mine on Twitter that has a YouTube account as well, and he has informed us. I won't name any names because I don't want to let the game go, but he has informed us that a female quote-unquote comic pro hunted him down, went to his local comic book store, and tried to ask the owner for information about, like, where he lives, what he does, what his name is, all these kinds of things. And you know what they're going to try to do with that? They're going to try to dox you. And when he told me that, immediately I thought, yeah, that's why I don't do videos like that. And I feel bad for him because, you know, I had just thought a day earlier, man, I really wish he wouldn't show his face on his YouTube videos, or where he's going whenever he's doing his Periscope videos. You know, because people will always try to hunt you down because that's what they do for fun. And that psychotic behavior like that, and that's psychotic behavior like that, that will always be overshadowed by the fact that they got you. They got you. And everybody's going to be so happy about that. It's the same thing that happened to DNC. It's the same thing that's starting to happen to Captain Cummings. That's why I'm pro anonymity. I don't want anybody to know anything about me. I just want them to understand where I'm coming from and know that I truly do love comics and I want to see them prosper again. But that's my advice, is just to watch out for these crazy people, because literally they're everywhere. And they have nothing else to do except to destroy you and move on to find out what they want for lunch, because they could care less about what you think. But anyway, so here's the subject of the video now. 8 minutes in, it's a record. So the other day, I saw where our resident Slotto Blocktavius, Dan Slott, was talking about his failed comic, Silver Surfer, and was talking about his failing comic, Amazing Spider-Man. And he's talking about them like they're a success, and he's talking about Secret Empire like it's a success. And for those of you that don't know, Silver Surfer, I think he has been on the book the entire time, but it kind of halted around 13 or 14, issue 13 or 14, and then they relaunched it with a new style and everything, and then they kind of tried to act like they were continuing on as usual, like nothing ever happened. And that's what he's trying to pretend like it is now. He's trying to pretend like it went on all the way to 29 issues. There was no problem. It was a flagship title or non-flagship title, but it still did successful. I'm so proud of my work, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the sales are, and the sales were so bad that they canceled you, and then they allowed you to have 3 or 4 more issues to wrap it up. Okay, that's what they do. It's called business. It doesn't make sense just to cancel it without having more issues, because then you lose a chance to make more money. The thing is, you don't get to brag about things that you failed at. That's not the way this works. That's not the way this works. That's not the way any of this works. So I put on there, I said, at Dan Slott, why are you always lying? Now, he has blocked me, so there's no way he would see this unless he was searching for it. At Dan Slott, why are you always lying? You only got 13 issues this run. It relaunched. Pretty petty of you to lie to look big. Hashtag Dan Slott at Marvel. And I knew what I was doing. I knew that I was putting it on there because I want people to know that he's lying. He's not telling the truth. And these people are just following him like robots because he has Spider-Man on his profile pic. So then, a couple hours went by. I didn't notice it. But someone happened to let me know about the fact that he had commented on that tweet. I can't speak today, on that tweet. And I thought that was odd because he blocked me. He's not able to see me. He's not able to comment on my stuff because he blocked me with a block bot. He never talked to me. I made one comment to him about something. It wasn't even in a mean manner. I asked him a question. He blocked me. I was like, oh, so there's a little truth to what they were saying. And this is how all this got started. But then he proceeds to go in there to, 15 plus 14 equals 29. Also, if you look at the thread in context, I also took a shot at myself on how it was canceled. But context, like math, is hard. Smiley face. What a jerk. And I love how these people, when they talk condescending to you, they always end the sentence with an emoji. Every time they end it with an emoji. And it's usually the smiley face or the guy with the sunglasses every time. I mean, these are condescending a-holes down to the last chromosome in their body. And they don't understand that just because you talk to people nice in person doesn't mean it's okay to talk like this on Twitter. Okay? Because let's talk about it this way, Dan. If you were to be a fan of Spider-Man and you saw that you wrote comics on there and I followed you on Twitter because I was such a huge fan, that might be the only interaction I ever had with you because not everybody can afford to drive to these cons. So they want to be attached to you somehow to get information to feel like they have associated with you. That's the whole point of Twitter. And you get on here and act like an a-hole, and that's the only interaction they have with you. It doesn't matter if you're nice in person, Dan. You're a jerk on here, and people see that. That's why your sales are failing. But so then he goes on to say that tweet, and I noticed, or somebody had let me know about it. So I thought about it for a little while, and I thought, what would Dan Slott do in this situation? So you know what I did? I reported him to Twitter. And Twitter has actually acknowledged that they're investigating it right now. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you I don't really expect anything to come of this because I actively think that Twitter thinks more of the verified users over non-verified users. I think they will always take their side first and look at it as, well, what did he do to them? Okay, what did they do to deserve this treatment? They obviously did something to deserve it. It's almost like the case of when a woman is actually raped and then the person that raped him is like the son of a judge or something like that. And they say, well, what did she do? What was she wearing? How was she acting? As opposed to, well, he's a jerk. Let's put him in jail. Nowadays, that's not so much the case, but in the classic stories talk about things, that's the way it goes most of the time. And I'm not saying this is as bad as rape. I'm just trying to tell you that this is kind of the way Twitter handles things. They sit there and say, well, this is just a troll. That's the word that gets my nerves the most. This is just a troll. When it's actually these trolls like this, Dan Slott being 4'0", that like to talk about people and then get away with it because nobody ever does anything about it. But that's where it's going to stop because as long as he is following me like this, and there's no telling how many times he has got on there and done that and I haven't noticed it because I can't see those tweets because I'm blocked by him. And now I've actually went in there and blocked him, so I don't think he'll be doing that anymore. But this is some psychotic behavior. This is like crazy ex-girlfriend behavior here. This kind of stuff needs to stop, and they need to get back to work making comic books, because this right here is going to be the death of comic books if he keeps on doing stuff like this. Him and Nick Spencer and all these other people, they spend all day on Twitter talking about people, and they don't understand that it's hurting their sales big time. You know what I mean? So they need to just go on. They need to leave things alone, and they need to get back to work, because it's starting to affect them. But anyway, that's what I think about the situation. I have reported him. We'll see what happens about this, because this is like I said, this is crazy ex-girlfriend behavior. And the fact that he has to put this on here, 15 plus 14 equals 29, but he's already admitted right there. He's admitted right there that it stopped in between, because why would you feel the need to add those numbers together? You've just admitted what I said in the last tweet, because I said this was a relaunch. Well, 15 plus 14 equals 29. So what you're saying is they stopped it in between and then continued it on in a relaunch. Okay, so you just admitted what I just said. Okay, thanks. I understand, Dan, that context like math is hard. So I understand that you didn't understand what you were talking about when you said that. It's okay. Smiley face emoji, guy with sunglasses emoji. Okay? And that's what I think about that. And let's talk about one thing else. This is my last thoughts on this subject, or these subjects that have been going on, this updates of the weekend. So there was a certain live stream this past weekend, and some of my guys were talking on Twitter or talking on YouTube about what's been going on here in the comics industry. And that's all well and good. I'm not going to name any names, because I'm trying to keep anonymity. But if you follow me, you probably know who they are. They were talking about comics, and they wanted me to go to this live stream, but I told them that I'd be available at a certain time. It ended up being a lot later than that, and I just honestly fell asleep. So they went on to talk, and then what I didn't know was they were going to have a certain podcaster on there. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't go on there, because if they had had that person on there, I would have just got off. I would have just left. Because those kind of people do not need to be associating with us. They have proved time and time again that they are tattletales, that they are only about themselves. They even turn on the SJWs, because SJWs always turn on each other. These people have turned on Dan Slott and other people multiple times, just because they don't have any loyalty to anybody. They don't care about anything except what they think is moral. And so they go in there, they talk to him, and he actually names my name on there, which I thought was kind of funny, that no one actually went on there and said, hey, don't talk about him, kind of situations. But I thought it was funny, because I have verbally whipped this person in his group multiple times on their so-called podcast Twitter page, and did many videos about it. And every time I beat them so badly that they end up getting off Twitter, because they don't have anything else to talk about, because I ask them questions and they can't answer them. And so his only rebuttal was, he said my hair was one color and it was actually another color, and I thought that was hilarious. We laughed about it over and over. Okay, what's your point? It was a metaphor making fun of the fact that you're a beta male, and that your hair is the same color as most email characters on Saturday morning cartoon colors' hairs. What's your point? Okay, that's all they have. They have to go back to discrediting people, because facts don't matter, because they don't believe in facts. And those kind of people don't need to be associating with us, because there was a thread that I talked about at the beginning of this video that he was actually involved in. And now what do you think he's going to do? He's going to report back to his overlords, and he's going to tell everybody about it. He's going to say, look, these guys are a bunch of idiots. I told you they were idiots. Look at this. Blah, 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 blah. Discredited. That's all they want. They want ammunition. And these people don't need to be associating with us. They need to go on, because they have already shown their true colors time and time again. You don't give people like that platforms, because they will always act nice to your face and stab you in the back. And that's exactly what happened on that video. There was a tweet that he had tweeted not too long around the time of that video, where he was basically talking about them. in a defamatory manner. And I thought, and he was actually talking to Dan Slott about it. I thought, it's very, very curious. I'm glad I didn't talk to that person, because they would use that against me too. But that's all I think about this. You tell me what you think about the video. You tell me what you think about these subjects, and how this can actually start infighting. And it has started infighting, and we need to get back to the subject, which is we need to be united against the enemies of comic books, because that's what they are. They hate comic books and they hate superheroes, and they want to watch them all die. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Underground Geek out.